Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tack, and we're going to pick up where we left the project off about a week and a half ago. The project was a Penn Sargus. That was the predecessor reel to the Penn Battle, and we did some diagnosis on it. We found out that it had a broken main gear. We speculated a little bit about what caused that break, and usually it's when a reel gets hung up on a snag and you try to power crank out of it. It just never ends well. We've seen the movie before. It just doesn't work. Well, today, courtesy of our supplier, mysticparts.com, the new pieces and parts have arrived. Mystic Parts is a Penn Parts distributor. They're the premier one. If you call Penn Parts and ask them for something, they usually direct you over to Mystic Parts. And what we have is the new main gear. And always recommended when you're changing the main gear is to change the pinion gear, particularly if you find yourself in a situation like we did where the teeth were broken on the gear. And well, if you continue to crank with broken teeth, it's generally going to scar the pinion gear. So word of advice, if you go ahead and find yourself in a situation where you have that broken piece, make sure that you go ahead and change the pinion gear as well. Well, when we did the diagnosis, we left it without the main gear, which was broken. And well, we're going to show you how to deal with the top end of this reel. We're going to show you how to put it all back together again and how to, well, get it out there fishing. If you like these kinds of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll learn a lot, and hopefully you'll perceive the value that I try to bring to the channel and teach how to service fishing reels, how the fishing reels are made, the technologies behind them, how they're used in fishing, and a little bit about their manufacturers and the like, in addition to the pieces and parts and how the reel gets assembled and diagnosed and so on. Well, when we did the diagnostics, it was about the broken piece on the main gear. But again, if you're going to do this right, you want to replace the pinion gear in addition to that. And the pinion gear is part of the top end assembly. That top end assembly includes the anti-reverse clutch and some bearings. So you need to remove the collar that's holding that anti-reverse clutch on. Take a picture here because you want the orientation of this. And you want to know what comes next when you pull out that drag stack or the pinion gear stack. Because, well, if you don't get it right, you could go very wrong. So we'll pull this stack out now. It's the standard stack. We did mention on the first part that this was the predecessor to the Penn Battle and Fierce line. So it's in the it's early 20s. I think Battles and Fierces and the like came out around 2010 or 11, so this would be before that. I think this may have been the first edition of the Penn reels that were manufactured in China. There was a move around 2005 to take the domestic manufacturer, send it over to their Chinese counterparts, so could be the first one. Well, we did the diagnosis, but we didn't do the cleaning the last time. We weren't quite sure if we were going to be able to get the pieces and parts, so we're going to do that now. I'm using a cotton swab, and when you do this, particularly when you find that you have a broken gear, you need to make sure that you're certain that nothing gets left behind, because if you find if you don't find, or if you don't remove a broken tooth, then you find that it's in the old grease. Well, it probably will shake free during fishing and get trapped and, well, destroy the gear again. So make sure that it's all free there. Check everywhere. Those little teeth have a tendency to hide everywhere. And I do know that when we took this apart in the first part of this effort, that we did find the broken teeth at the base of the case. All right, I did get some additional parts. One of those is the shim washer for the main gear. So I do want to put that in here as well. All right, let's take a look at the gear stack, because we're going to replace the pinion gear. One of the things that some folks never notice, there's a little ferrule, top and bottom on this. There's one that goes below, and one above. You need to make sure that you have those. Those are the diameter of your axle shaft. And you're going to find that it's going to enable your axle shaft to run smoothly through those gears. Well, the first one belongs here. Here's a fun and novel way to try it. Put it onto a Phillips head screwdriver, go through the front, line it up, and push it in. That's how it goes, just like that. All right, on the stack itself, let's remove the components so that you know where they are. Up top we have a bearing that sits inside the case. You want to test the bearings. I just hold it in the middle and roll it. You're going to find that this is a cup. It's not a through washer. There's a narrow side and a wider side. It's a shielded bearing, so it can do with oil. And that's the top side. The narrow side goes down below. We have our anti-reverse clutch in the bottom bearing. These bearings have a lot of dirt on them, old greases. I tend to oil the bearings, not grease them. This one's an interesting one. It's not the shielded one that you saw before. You could probably put the grease on that one. We'll take the new pinion gear now, install the lower bearing. And while I'm at it, I want to use fishing reel grease on the teeth of that pinion gear. This is your opportunity to do it. Normally I would tell you to check the teeth on this, but it's a brand new gear, so you're going to know that you're okay there. Next up then is your anti-reverse clutch, and your anti-reverse clutch has got two sides on it. It's got a side that has the metal casing and a side that has the plastic casing. And this has got something that I don't like on it, which is grease. You shouldn't be greasing your anti-reverse clutch. It's a friction device. This is your inside collar, so wipe that down as well. The collar goes on. And then your clutch with the metal casing facing up goes on. And then our stack is complete when we take the one with the narrow side, place that on, and that's your new pinion gear assembly. And then the second of those axle furls goes up top. When that's complete, you can put that back into your case. Make sure that your top is flush with the rim. Grab your tie down. And there's the 3 screws that go on from there. So we're fortunate in this case that there was a replacement gear available. A lot of times that cranking means you're done with the reel if you break up that main gear because the parts are no longer available. So a lot of times folks will have the debates, what's the best reels and so on. And sometimes the answer to that is the reel manufacturer that maintains the pieces and parts. Okay. Once you seat the first one, swing it. And if I didn't mention it before, this is not symmetrical. So this collar needs to align with the holes, because this side over here is more narrow than the one up top. So don't scratch your head and wonder, know that there's an issue there, or not an issue, a design there that makes it non-symmetrical. Okay, That takes care of that piece. Tighten down the one that you left loose. You can check them all to make sure. With that part complete, let's go put the rotor back on. There's a shim washer that belongs below there. That was stuck to the bottom of the case of the rotor, I guess, when we were taking this out for diagnosis. Didn't pay that much attention there. Okay, rotor nut can go on. And we can work on assembling the bottom end of this. It's an opportunity to spin it, make sure everything's spinning nice, free and easy on it. And then we can go ahead with the base. Just checking the fit on the main gear. Let's grab our oscillation gear. Oscillation gear gets grease all around, backside into the crevice there that's going to mount on that stud, on the teeth, which are going to be driven by the back end of the main gear, and that's the one that broke. And on the face, where your crosswind block is going to run. It mounts just like that on top of the stud. Next up, we want to do some grease onto the main gear. Beautiful new main gear. Let's make sure we get the greases there. The back one that's shattered. And then, of course, onto the teeth on the main one. And since this is new, don't be afraid to be a little bit extra liberal with your greasing. And again, because it is new, you don't need to check the teeth. You've got to trust the manufacturer that the teeth are all aligned nicely. Gear goes back into the case. Let's take a moment here to put the grease onto your crosswind block as well. Crosswind block gets rolled. Needs to sit on the stud. And faces up. Okay, main gear can go back in. And you need the shim for the main gear. Before you go to install the axle shaft, make sure you put that tie-down clip on that holds the rotor nut in place. Looks like my crosswind block fell out while I was tilting it to do that, so let's put the crosswind block back in place. Now we can bring the axle shaft through the top. And before you seat it all the way, just a light coating of grease onto it. You can use the spare grease that's left on your brush. Push the axle shaft through, make sure that the hole is aligned with the base of the case, and then get your screw that's going to hold that in place. It's a small flat-headed screw. Bring that over, tighten that up. And then you can spin to make sure everything is working the way it should. Which is what it's doing. That's wonderful. Bring your side plate, which contains the bearing, over and place that on. Make sure that you have a nice tight seam on the case. Then you have the 3 outer screws, which have the rounded heads on them. They go on next. Well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, maybe you're working on one and you're wondering a little bit about something. Maybe you're stuck. Maybe you've started a project and forgotten how it goes. Leave those questions in the comments section. I will try to answer those for you. Now, a word of caution, we're not a 24/7 helpline. We do try to answer the questions in the morning. And, well, if you get stuck and it's the evening, just be patient. I will try to get an answer to you. The best way to reach me is to reach me through the comment section. There are folks that call the number on the business card, and I have to apologize. A lot of times I'm in the shop, I'm doing a video, I'm working on a video, I'm editing it, something, and just can't get to the phone. So please understand that if you are trying to call by phone. All right, there is a third screw here. The fourth case screw has a flat head on it because it goes behind the bump guard. That's the long one here. And again, if you were taking pictures earlier, you would have noted that. So let's put that one in place. And then we just have the bump guard for the base assembly. We'll just tighten down that spool. We'll see how it rides. And hopefully this one's got a lot of fishing left in it. As I mentioned, it was a kind of a predecessor to the Battle line. It's a sturdy reel. Now, Battles, of course, since their introduction have gone upscale in terms of some of the metal and the gearing and the like. It's not pat metal anymore, but back in the day, this one compared very favorably with that. All right, spin it. Seems to be spinning nicely. Let's bring the main spool over. There's a little bit of dirt in the bottom of that, so I'll clean that up. And we can bring this in. Tighten this down. Give it a final test. Doesn't seem like we're totally lined up with that top. There we go. All right. Tighten it down, make sure that your drags are holding, then you can back them off. Let's get the handle back on. Handle is a screw and handle that goes in the direction of the retrieve. Last thing I want to do, just a little bit of penetrating oil onto the seams of the bail. You can work that in a little bit. This one's operating fine. Let's do the test. What did we do? Well, this has been an interesting one. Part one dealt with the analysis of why the reel had a skip in it. We determined that the skip was on the main gear, broken teeth. We told you if you're going to repair the reel, you need to replace the main gear as well as the pinion gear, because it should be a matched set that goes in for reinstall. We did that. Showed you how to put the reel back together again, explaining how the anti-reverse stack and the like work. Put it all back up. We should be ready to go. Let's see how we did. Turns nice and free and easy, just as a Penn Sargus should. Let's make sure that bail is tripping. It is. And that's it. That's how to take apart, service, and repair a Penn Sargus 4000. I hope you've enjoyed that. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, and rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. Truly appreciate your efforts day in and day out. I want to thank you, the viewers, for helping make the channel what it is. It's been an incredible journey from the early start about 7 years ago to now. I try to keep improving the channel and delivering the content you like to see. And you've been very helpful in directing me and offering your critiques, as well as your thoughts about what videos you'd like to see. Please keep doing that. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day. Thanks for watching.